Welcome to Mavericks, a program that we showcase the many C-suite leaders that we've had the privilege of working with. It was this one day that just after a training program, two young gentlemen were standing outside to have a chat with me. And that was the first day I met this individual. And we bonded well, and we did many projects together within the organization. So it's a proud and a privileged moment for me to be able to introduce to you Mahanil Perera, Chief Operating Officer of Durdan's Hospital. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Roshan. Nice to be in your program.
Lovely to have you. I was always wanting to work with CEOs and COOs who we've been able to work with in an organizational setting, and it's so nice to have you. To begin with, I'm curious to know who Mahanil is from small days to where you are today. Who is he a sportsman? Is he naughty? What kind of a kid was Mahanil?
So I would say in one word, mischievous, because of course, if I talk about my schooling and my young days, a lot of people don't know. I started off schooling at Janadipati Vidyalaya. The school also started along with me. They started off the same year in 1978, and it was in Colombo 7 at that time. But then it was shifted to Kotte. Now it's called Janadipati Vidyalaya Kotte. So thereafter, when I came to grade 5, there was a scholarship exam, and then I joined. Through the scholarship exam, I got into St. Joseph's College. So thereafter again, in 1983, there were issues in the country, and because of that, when it came to 1989, my parents wanted again to see whether I need to get into, if I need to go overseas. So they wanted me to join an international school to get my educated in my advanced level. So then I joined Stafford International School. So it's a mix of three environments. So I think that has helped me to groom myself, associating people at different levels. And that has, of course, I think helped my career as well. With regard to sports, of course, I was not the sportsman per se, but drawing a clear distinction, I want to say I used to participate for these sports meets, and when I was at St. Joseph's, I was like the 5th or 6th in placing when I go for sports, especially at the sports meet. But when I noticed the difference when I joined Stafford, I became the first for all. So that itself shows the sort of the competition in a larger school versus international school. But still, I think the grooming was such that it helped me a lot in what I am now or what I am today.
Okay. So academically, you moved on?
Yes. Thereafter, actually, again, another good point is my passion was to become an engineer. I did my A-levels in mathematics and started off at the Open University doing a diploma in engineering and continued. But then fate, I think, changed it and made me go into marketing. So probably that would have been the reason why I am who I am now. Because if I had gone on engineering, maybe it wouldn't have ended up this way. So anyway, I developed, because I had also a talent to do sales and marketing. That as well. So it actually came out when I was doing the educating myself in marketing. And then finally I did my MBA Masters as well in business administration. So that all helped to point I have been here. But it was definitely a shift from engineering to management. That's quite a shift, I think, for my career, where I had a passion of becoming an engineer. But still, I'm a gadgets man, I would say.
Okay. So from sales and marketing, moving on to labs and creating 100 labs all over the country and all that, because I know you when you were managing all that. How thrilling was that?
Yes, actually, when I would say, because I have been working in mainly technical companies previously, getting into healthcare was something quite different. quite different, and that actually changed the way I was thinking and the way I worked as well, because it was more of more than a job. It was basically that something I want to do for the society, and I feel that I can help people by being there. So that sort of started driving me of what I was doing, and previously it was like 8 to 5 job, but this is 24/7. So any time of the day anybody can contact me, I am contactable, because that really gave me that inner satisfaction of helping people. So that actually was the reason. And then with regard to labs, that was the opportunity I got as from moving from marketing. That background helped me, and when I started off, it was only 20 locations we had. But as we explored the possibilities of moving forward, and Durdans as a brand, when you go to outstations, at that time people couldn't even pronounce the word Durdans, unlike the competition where the names were easier. So, but as we went on the branding, the promotions we did, and also I would say we kept it very simple. We understood their needs, addressed those needs, and that's how actually we got into their hearts, and now we are 100 plus. It's about 120 locations now. Okay. That's about 2 years ago I moved out of the labs, and now I'm managing the hospital.
Yeah. When you think of healthcare, you think of, yes, labs, nursing, of course, doctors. What is it like to work in the healthcare industry?
Yes, that again, as I told you, the opportunity of serving people, I think that is something I think even a doctor or a nurse would see it that way, because more than a job, it is I think a service that we provide, and that is something which comes from inside of you. It's not a thing that you do it for money or for the career building as per se. So I feel that is the reason any person would join healthcare, in order to serve the community at large. And also if you look at the challenges with regard to the in 2020, 2019 and the COVID coming in, it was a huge challenge for all, and we actually didn't know the monster, right? We were all one actually, in fact, when at that time I was handling labs, and we had to close down the labs for 1 month. No revenue, zero revenue. But when we came back so strong that none of our staff, I'm very proud to say that none of our staff got infected, because we were so careful. We had all the precautions taken, but we served the community as well. So that was actually an eye-opener for us to see, even when there are challenges, within that you get so much of opportunity to prove yourself.
It's amazing. I'm almost prompted to ask you this question and get your view on this. These days, people are talking about healthcare and hospitals and negligence, and a lot of discussion going on. Are we losing heart? Are the people in the industry tired, or are they only worried about the money, or what's happening? What are your personal views?
Well, I think there's a lot of hype built around. One thing is, if you look at if you really look at the private versus government sector, it's very challenging, because government sector is offering free of charge, right? So anybody coming to the private sector is not held at gunpoint, but they decide, okay, I come for this service. But on the other hand, with the present situation, there is a huge brain drain on either side. If you take government sector, also same scenario. And we are quite dependent on the government sector, because the doctors are in the government sector who come to serve the private sector. So, but I would say the way the monster is built, it is not that bad, because if you look at the statistics, even outpatient, the private sector caters to 50%. So that's a huge area that the private sector is playing a role in, and inpatient is about 10%. So again, government sector has a larger stake, but still we want to meet that need in the market and ensure that. But to answer your question directly, I would say it is quite a challenging thing, even for being in the private sector. Running it as a business is very challenging, because the price fluctuation, the price changes, the economic situation, we can't change as and when we want, because it's a service we provide. Unlike selling a good where you can just say, okay, the dollar price has gone up, we change the price. But here we are challenged so much that even our bottom lines are affected. But still, we continue to provide it, and that's basically what we are hoping to do.
And it's not easy running a hospital. I remember it's like running a partial hotel, healthcare, to so many things that run on a day-to-day basis, which is 24 hours. Would you like to take us through a few dynamics of running a hospital?
Yes. Now, if you look at the day-to-day operations, I think firstly I would start with the human resource. It's quite challenging. One thing is the new generation. There is a challenge of meeting their needs versus also looking at the, as I told you, the brain drain, because all the youngsters now feel like, okay, the grass is green on the other side, so they all tend to look at that way. As well as when we were young, we were looking at the job, working in that job, trying to build ourselves and also look at the organization. But now guys don't look at that way. So they basically a few changes they want done, they will just move out and they'll go ahead with it. So that's starting off. That would be, I would say, the first challenge, the human resource challenge. Then of course, if you look at the investments involved in meeting the requirements of the patients, it's not easy to recover. So we need to, and you would know, any electronic item gets obsolete within 3 to 4 years. So investing every 4 years on equipment with the present return is a huge challenge. Then also with regard to the affordability, now it has come to a situation where the affordability is also a question. So then of course the market size starts getting saturated. But after saying that, if you look at the present total healthcare sector, there are a lot of challenges with regard to the medication available, the service levels, and also even if you go to the government sector, the availability of lab tests, pharmaceutical, it's very limited. So again, it's a matter where they have to come back to the private sector, and then also the private sector is taken into task saying, okay, they are charging huge amounts, and so many other accusations take place. But it is the challenge of running a private organization, private healthcare institute, where you see, and it's actually no secret because all of the private sector large stakeholders are listed in the stock exchange. So all the financials are available. So anybody looking at that will see what can be reaped out of it. But then we need to, as I told you, we can't let go. We need to have the good battle going on.
Yeah. And yet, with all these battles, how innovative we can be, how good are we, maybe there are questions. And many who turn around and say, you have an illness, okay, if you are affluent enough, fly to Singapore. And here we are talking about flying people down for tourist healthcare and all that kind of thing. What are your thoughts around all of that?
Yes, with regard to medical tourism, of course, I don't think our country has given the justice that we should have got. We have a lot of talented doctors, and well as the healthcare staff, as well as even equipment wise, most of the hospitals have all the latest equipment. Only thing, as you said, there are people, of course, if you have insurance, if you can afford it, you can travel overseas and get the required treatment. But I would say we would equally be able to fight or challenge the international realm, and even if properly done, medical tourism would be something that we will be really be able to get that exchange coming in. Is a good area, but unfortunately it has not been like tourism. Medical tourism also has been shelved, and it has not been given the proper emphasis which should have been given. which would have been actually a very good source of income for the country as well.
Sure. And within the private sector organizations, is it difficult for you to get together and be able to work on this?
It is possible. It is possible. We are doing actually. I am also part of the Private Hospital Association, as well as we have the Private Health Regulatory Council. That's the PHSRC. That's a government body. I am a member of that as well. So we are lobbying and trying to get to that point. But of course, internally also there are a lot of challenges that we have to overcome and get to that point. And as a country, I think we need to go for a branding and promotions in order to do that, because one hospital, two hospitals, or a few hospitals going to do that might not. Of course, at our own level, we are doing our thing. There are international patients coming, but that's not the volume we would expect. And you can see countries like Malaysia, Singapore, the way they do things are quite different. So as a country, we need to, I think, brand ourselves and move forward, and that's something I think has a lot of potential if you really explore.
With this economic downturn in terms of supplies and all of those kinds of things, there are many issues in all the industries. How is it for you in the healthcare industry?
It is quite challenging, because there are with the crisis, the medication coming to Sri Lanka also has reduced, and also the channels it is coming through has changed. So we have a challenge, especially in life-saving drugs, when it is brought through other sources that we are unable to do, because actually in simple terms, we need NMRA approval for any medication to be used in Sri Lanka. So even recently you would have seen in the paper there are sort of discussions going on where these approvals are not obtained, or the guys bring in other things, maybe hand carry and stuff like this. So that is creating a problem in the market, and for a hospital to function is very challenging, because we are not able to get the required medication on time. So this again, I think, is a priority item we are addressing with the ministry as well as the regulator to get this sorted out ASAP, because whatever we say, whatever the revenue we are talking about, life saving is number one for healthcare. So that is what we really focus on.
So I can remember in the days gone by, JCI certification and all of that, but technology has come into every sphere of every business. How is it helping the healthcare industry?
It is definitely, and talking about accreditation, another thing I think just want to mention a few words. We were actually the first to obtain the Joint Commission International USA, the accreditation, which is considered the gold standard of accreditation, which was quite challenging. Actually, it was a vision our chairman, Mr. Ajit Tudave, had at that time. He embarked on it before all, and then we were able to achieve it in 2014, and that actually put us in a different plane with regard to quality and the processes. So that helped us. Then moving forward with that, now again that actually ties up with medical tourism. This now we have the hospitals which have Joint Commission International is easily marketable in the international market.
So technology, AI and all of that coming in?
Yes.
Is it coming into the industry?
Absolutely. AI is very much a part of it, and we are also trying to look at embarking on that, because now getting the trends, understanding the markets, what the diseases which are getting populated, be ready for it, and also previously even seasonal illnesses like dengue and things, when it comes we know it comes, but now with this development of AI you can predict in the future and be ready for it. Even supply chain will be, it's an advantage for supply chain to be ready with the requirements beforehand. We have, of course AI is very new to us, but we are embarking on working towards it and making use of it. And technology wise, as I mentioned, we are looking at upgrading our systems and ensuring the processes also, because just upgrading the software systems alone doesn't help. It has to fall in line with the day-to-day processes as well. So we are working on that as well at the moment.
the end of the day, you can have all the processes, but the tender, loving care is also very, very important.
That is something I think Durdan's has been able to achieve from, we have been in in operation for over 75 years. So Durdan's has been having the nursing care at the utmost, and we continue to do that. Most of our staff are over 25-30 years working with us, and the same loving tender care which was given at that time is being continued. So that is something which we are proud of.
Many say that it's a family hospital, and I met a friend of mine who said, well, I was born here and I came here to have my own baby. So that was the 70 years that you were talking about, I guess.
Actually, there have been three generations.
Okay.
The grandfather, the son, and then the grandchild. There are three generations. There was a few families that I have come across who had three generations been born at Durdan's.
Okay. In terms of leadership and advice to leaders, you've seen many organizations, you work with a lot of people as well. What kind of advice would you give budding leaders or existing C-suite leaders?
I think there again, it is important for the leaders, the up-and-coming leaders, to have the drive as well as the, I would say, the integrity. There are certain things I have seen sometimes. Because you want to go up the ladder fast, you do so many things to get there. But I think sometimes it needs to take that time, and you need to get matured in that place as well. So experience also matters a lot. You can be qualified, you can have all the certificates, but then when to face a situation, to understand a situation, and to be able to give the proper guidance, the proper know-how, you need that experience as well. So sometimes it's a long process. It's not a thing that you can do overnight. But there is, as I mentioned, the newer generation looks at it differently. But it is important for them to have that. I think in my career, having a lot of patience, not patience, but patience. It has been the main factor for me to build my career, because sometimes you have to wait. You have to, a long painstaking process is there, but the 9 months you need to spend to get that child.
I don't know whether it's a part of your business plan, but how effective are we on teaching people about preventative methods of health management?
Yes, that's a very good point. We have actually, with the new development, our Vision 2022, we have looked at a wellness center as well, because this is an area which is being neglected, and we just go on doing the routine thing of treating people, but we don't look at emphasizing on the preventative aspect. So this is an area, this wellness center is preventative and rehabilitation, where sometimes after you have a surgery or have to have some kind of procedure done, the continuation is also important. Sometimes we just let go and we continue with the day-to-day life, and sometimes don't forget following it up. And then sometimes after about maybe 3-4 years, 5 years, you suddenly realize that you have neglected yourself. So preventive as well as the rehabilitation part is something which we have now focused on. And also going forward, looking at the aging population, we are looking at the geriatric side as well, and also considering certain illnesses like cancer, we are looking at the palliative area as well. So these are some of the newer areas we are looking at. In order, it's not the typical hospital approach, but it is more of a looking at the society at large and ensuring that we do our part in covering 360 in the entire medical sphere.
Yeah. So now when we walk in, we see childhood obesity, so many things that probably in Sri Lanka we didn't talk about in days gone by. And I think what we consume, what we have, the environment, pollution, all that is a contributing factor. Um, how much of time do we spend on the mind and helping people to think? I know we have psychologists and all of them. As a healthcare, not just Durdans, but as a general Sri Lanka, do we spend enough time in helping people to think differently?
Absolutely. That is actually now, since I was mentioning about wellness, counseling is an area because you need to guide them as such. And I think even social use of social media is something which we look at very strongly in this type of aspects, to drive ideas, to drive concepts, to drive them to understand. Because sometimes just saying, okay, you and I have been on diets, and like when you say go on a diet, you start the first 2-3 days and then you say, oh hell, let's give it up, it's not going to work. But once you understand what you are doing and what is the outcome and how it is happening in your body, you don't give up. You know how the path and the entire path through. So this again, as I mentioned, the concepts have to be driven in to their mind so that they follow up. Then you don't need to waste time. You just know that it's done and dusted and they will do the needful. It's very difficult for you to try to push people to say, okay, do this, do that and things like that. So moving forward, I think we are looking at educating through the new ventures we have started, educating the customers, I would say, on these aspects. And wellness is something, and health checkups and things like that is something we are focusing more on in order to. And the other thing, very important point is, we miss the point of identifying things early. Most of the time when it's red alert only, you start doing something. Either you have a chest pain or you have a serious pain or illness, only you start. But a lot of these things can be identified early and treated so that it doesn't go to that level. So this is the point which we want to drive in the future for people, for the society to understand.
Would it be controversial for me to ask then, if you have the preventative side, will that impact on the hospital profitability?
I wouldn't say that, because anyway it is not that the hospital will gain out of somebody's misery. It is always that we want to, this again I want to mention, our chairman has always said this, that we need to emphasize on getting people, preventing people from falling sick and not treating people, right? But after saying that, as we go on, as we age, whether we like it or not, there are things which will come to play. So now we know our parents, how healthy they have been, but still towards the end of their life they will have some kind of sickness. So it's a part and parcel of a life. I think even in our religions it says, so that's a part and parcel. So I don't think that will have a major impact. That's why we have looked at all aspects, as I mentioned, palliative care, then wellness, and then any other new areas that we, geriatric care is, because that we are looking at that's a part of life. Growing old is a part of life, you can't change that. So we look at all that in order to ensure that we look after the society and keep them healthy. That's actually our thing. As you said, okay, it could be controversial to say, okay, if there are no patients, no business, but that's not the case. Basically, keeping the society healthy is actually would be a hospital's responsibility.
Absolutely, and the business model will evolve from there.
Absolutely.
And I was talking to this individual who was running a very large hospital outside Sri Lanka, and he was saying how AI is being used. Every time we tag them on our systems, AI takes over from there, constantly sending messages, and we are talking about 100,000 messages an hour apparently in that hospital, where how are you doing, it will check up on after you finish an operation and you go home. This system will keep on checking how you are doing the next 1 week, and if you feel bad, call us back, we'll come pick you up. Then it will ask also the family members, how is so and so doing, send certain diet plans. Now all of that manually is a daunting task, and AI, how it has taken over. So I was wondering, such technology is not very hard. It's not very hard. It's more or less our phone system being turned into an AI system. So
I'm looking forward to such technology being embraced by industry as well.
Yes, actually, good point you made, Niroshan. I want to, one point I missed in telling. Going forward, it won't be brick and mortar. Now, that's why now even in our situation, we have only one hospital. But we concentrate, if a person needs to come to the hospital, we concentrate and give the best service at that point. But moving forward, you should be able to get your medication or your treatment at home. And now, if you really look at analyzing things, cardiac issues, most of them move on to don't go for bypass surgery unless it's really warranted to go. They go for we call it catheterization or stenting. They go for that. Within 24 hours, you are back at work. So similarly, in other cases also, day case procedures have become now very popular, because people are, the routines people run, they don't want to be in a hospital for weeks and weeks and go on and then end up with a huge bill. So so as I said, the trends are changing, and as you very correctly mentioned, even the business model of a hospital will change. No longer we will be looking at a huge building, the equipment there. A person can be having a small gadget at home and everything will be done from that end. So we keep on providing that service, and as you know, we have the branch network all over, so we can cater to any location in Sri Lanka. So similarly, that would be the future.
Yeah. So probably to end up our conversation in a more strategic point of view, how do you plan out for these changes? How do you plan out for the risks that are ahead of us?
Certainly, that's why we actually in our team also, we have a senior management team which we had meet up and discuss operational matters as well as strategic matters, and also at the board level also these points are discussed, and whatever innovations, the changes, the trends which are happening are being addressed. And I think in the future we will be adopting one by one, but we are not very fast at doing things because we want to really test the waters before we do that. So but certainly we have not ignored or neglected that part, but strongly looking at that. Slow and steady wins the race.
Mahanil, it was wonderful having you. A wonderful conversation, an industry that is absolutely important for all of us. May you have a lot of strength to carry on and prevent all illnesses from all of us. Thank you so much for coming, and we hope to see you again.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.